Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're live for the first time in forever, in a very long time. We'll see if anybody shows up. Haha. This is what happens when you disappear for a very long time is people don't keep following you. But hopefully somebody will pop in at some point here. If not, that's fine. I can just talk to myself and work on this cool project. I'm working on a page from Prophets of Doom, which is written by my friend Joe Schmalke, drawn by me. I have my layout thumbnails here. I already have my page all nice and gridded out. I've got my panel borders. I've got some perspective grids. I have my roadmap here. I have a script, but I'm not gonna I have a script, but you can't peek, but there's a script. And this is for this project. We actually already did some of it. This is for this is the ash can that we have put together. This has 9 pages in it, or no, 8 pages in it from the next issue. So I'm working on issue 1 right now, which will be coming out later this year. This has 8 pages in it from issue 2, which will save me some work on issue 2. But you can see it in the ash can, which we're going to be giving away throughout a lot of this year. This is my free comic book day giveaway for this weekend. Hey, someone saying hello. Good to see you again. So yeah, that is what I'm working on. I'm going to start roughing in some of these figures for this little interior scene here. Oh, the other thing to note before I get too far along, and I'll talk more about this project as we go along, is that because this is a scene that takes place over several pages, and it's basically just like a bunch of people talking in the foreground. Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be back. I'm a little out of practice, so I might be kind of awkward, but we'll get through it. I was struggling so hard getting my tech set up because I haven't had to set up to do this in so long. And I'm like, how does my camera fit on this stand again? I don't even know. Just a disaster. Anyway, so this scene has like these main characters that are going to be talking in the foreground on around like a table in a bar, and then there's also action going on like behind them on the stage. And so to not lose sight of where everybody is as I kind of like move my point of view around, I made a little map of what the interior of this bar looks like. Does it make sense? I mean, marginally. That's not really the point. The point is just that I keep it consistent from page to page and panel to panel so that the different elements of the bar are not randomly moving around and making you feel confused. So that is what I have this right off on the corner too, so I don't forget where things are supposed to be. Hey, Spud. Yeah, I'm back from the abyss. So yeah, I'm gonna start roughing this stuff in, and we can talk a little bit about what's been going on. So depending on like how much of my other various online presences you are keyed into, have been keyed into. That guy's too big. He needs to be smaller. Then you may have seen the reason why or you may not have, depending again on how like up to date with all my other various socials and stuff you are. I had to kind of disappear for a little while. I had a like weird medical thing that actually took up a huge amount of my time and energy last year, and I finally had to have surgery to have it dealt with toward the end of 2024. And between getting ready for that and just having to like deal with recovery and work and getting through the holidays and everything else, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to try to do all of that and also keep trying to stream and update my comic and all this other stuff. I'm just going to try to survive for a few months here, and then I will slowly get back into it as I get caught back up on everything. Hey, Hungry. So good to see you again. So yeah, I know. I'm telling the epic tale of my absence right now. So it was this whole thing, right? It started with just like, oh, I feel like I have this weird little bump in my neck. Um, and I brought it up to my doctor and she was like, I don't know, I don't think that's anything. Doesn't seem like it's anything. And I'm like, "Okay, but I mean, I feel it. It's there. It exists." And then a little while later, someone else was in covering for my doctor. It wasn't my usual doctor. And also I go to like a residency practice, so I get a new doctor like every 3 years when they graduate, which is fine because I like it and people got to learn. So that works. And so then like I got a new person whom I had not ever met before and I was like, "Hey, yeah, so my last doctor that I had was not really convinced that this was a thing, but it's still, like it's still here. I can still, like, notice it, and I swear I think it's gotten a little bit, like, bigger, and it's bothering me, and if nothing else, I would like it checked out just for peace of mind." And she was like, "Yeah, definitely. I can feel that there's something there." Um, and so then she sent me for an ultrasound, and I'm gonna just like to frame how long of a saga all of this was. This exchange was in like August of 2023. And so in like September of 2023, I got an ultrasound, and the ultrasound was just like, yep, there sure is a thing in your neck. We don't know what it is, but it sure is present. And I'm like, "Okay, that's not great." And so then they sent me for a biopsy. So, like, now I had a new regular doctor, and he was like, "Oh, well, we couldn't figure anything out, so we'll send you for a biopsy." And I'm like, "That sounds not fun. I've never had one of those before." They make it sound when they're like a fine needle aspiration biopsy, they're like they just poke you with the little needle and like suck out some cells, and they make that sound like it's not gonna be very invasive. It's awful. It's like getting needle felted, except it was in my neck. So that was like up by my jaw, so basically in my face. It's terrible. Basically, I'm saying if they offer you, like, if you have to get a fine needle aspiration biopsy and they offer you any sort of, like, sedation or anything, just take it. It's not worth it to try to be tough and tough it out. It was that sucked. It was so not fun. And so because every single one of these steps takes, like, a couple of months. Oh my gosh, I have barely even begun someone saying this was such a thing. Um, each one of these steps takes, like, a couple of months. So by the time I had to have the biopsy, that was in, like, January of 2024, right? And that also came back with, "Yep, you sure got some neck cells there. Look like you got a neck." Like, nothing, just nothing useful. And so at that point, my primary care doctor sends me to an ENT specialist because he's like, "I don't know what's going on. We're gonna send you to the ENT specialist." And the ENT specialist, and again, each one of these steps takes like a couple of months to get through, anywhere from 6 weeks to like 3 months to get through. So, go to the ENT specialist, and the ENT specialist was awful. He, like, was just one of these guys that you can't have a conversation with. He just kinda, like, comes in and talks at you, and he was just really not pleasant. Did not like him much at all. My regular doctor's fantastic, and this guy was just, like, a real jerk. I did not enjoy him at all. And he was just like, "I think you have a stone, like a salivary gland stone," because this was somewhere in a salivary gland, right? And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "But I'm gonna send you, I don't think that the ultrasound that they knew what they were doing. I'm gonna send you for a CT scan." So I go and get a CT scan sometime in the spring of 2023 or of 2024, right? Somewhere in the spring of last year, about a year ago now. I go and get a CT scan, which was fine. Those are fine. Very fast, very easy, right? CT scan, still no idea. The specialist called back and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what we're looking at. I need better pictures. Like, this isn't giving me anything. So I'm going to send you for an MRI." So then I went and got an MRI. MRIs, much less pleasant. Takes a very long time, very loud, Worst part is I'm trying really hard not to, like, fall asleep. Even though it was very loud, you're still just like it's like, "Just lie here. Don't move. Your head is in this little thing so that it can't move. Don't move. Don't fall asleep. Just stay completely still, but don't fall asleep." And I'm like, "You put me in a little sensory deprivation tube, and then you're telling me not to fall asleep? I just wanna take a nap." But that was fine, whatever. Okay, but then the MRI comes back, and they still have no idea what they are looking at. They're still just like, "Dunno. It's a mystery. I can't tell what it is." So now the specialist that was, still here in Maine is like, "I am stumped. I'm gonna refer you to Boston." This is like this is like as far as like healthcare in Maine, if you get referred out of Maine and they refer you to Mass General when they're like, "Yeah, we're sending you to Boston," which means you're going to somewhere in the Mass General hospital network. That's basically just like the nuclear option here. That is, we give up. We're kicking you up to the next level. So okay, I guess I stumped all of the doctors in Maine, and so they sent me off to Boston, which also took a long time for all of that to go through. So by the time I finally got an appointment in Boston, that was like August of last year. And got in with an ENT specialist there, and he was like, "Okay, very interesting." And it was a whole, like, nightmare getting all of my records and imaging and everything to transfer, like, they could not figure it out. That was also extremely stressful. Um, but eventually got that all sorted out. Okay, good. And then this doctor does an exam and he's like, "Okay," and looks at all my imaging and reports and everything, and he's like, "Oh, that's very weird that they can't tell what it is." And he's like, "Well, okay, well, I'm gonna send you for another biopsy, and we're gonna do it here in Boston, so I know that it's gonna be done right," basically, is what he didn't say, but what he implied. Like, I don't know what those people in Maine are doing. I'm gonna make sure we do it correctly. Okay, fair enough. So then, let's see, there's like a speaker on the corner of this stage. I'm gonna put that like right here. So then I have to go back to Boston. My dearest, bestest friend Abby drove me down like the like 2 days before their wedding, which I was also officiating. This was such a cluster. Like 2 days before their wedding, we drove to Boston and back in one day so that I could get this stupid biopsy, which also still awful, still wasn't fun. Still got to have my face stabbed a bunch. Not a good time. Uh, and so then even after all of that, this is now 2 biopsies and 3 different types of imaging, and now our second specialist, they still didn't know what it was. The biopsy still came back as just like, "Shrug, I don't know. You got some cells. I don't know what they are." And I'm like, "Well, this is not great at all." And at that point, the specialist is like in Boston is like who was also fantastic. He was wonderful. I only had like one bad doctor. Yeah, so I did pain medication, like local pain medication both times. The first one, the one that I had done in Maine, they offered sedation as well so that I would be, like, kinda loopy and wouldn't notice, like, how much it was uncomfortable because they do, like, lidocaine locally every time they do one of these biopsies. But the lidocaine, like, for some people, I'm sure is fine, but this, where they were sampling was very deep, and I'm resistant to, like, cane medications. So, like, when I go to the dentist, I have to have them do extra Novocaine cane and give it extra time to work because my body's just like, "Lol, we don't respond to that. We're not doing that stuff." And so the lidocaine, I warned them when I was in Boston. I was like, "Hey, I'm a hard numb. You need to make sure you use extra lidocaine, like way more than you think you need to, because it did not do anything last time." And it super didn't. It was awful the first time. But had they offered sedation in Boston, I would have taken it, but they didn't offer it. They only gave me the lidocaine. And they did give me more of it than they did in Maine, but it's still like the first sample didn't hurt. But then the second and third sample, I could feel everything still, and it was awful. I was just like, "Why? Body, why are you doing this to me? You're so mean." So, yeah, anyway, that so yeah, they still had no idea what was so this little weird lump is going to be a guitar at some point. It's a lump for right now. It's just the idea of a guitar until we're at that point. Yeah, he's tuning. See, he's fiddling with the head of the guitar. All right, and we need a couple of wedges here. Got a wedge here. There's gonna be another one like over here, but that's gonna be blocked by them. And there's a couple other guys on the stage. Uh, the drummer's back here somewhere. I think the angle this is, he should be like back here, but I don't want to stick him in between these guys because that's just gonna get too messy. All right. Vague idea of a drum kit until we are ready to do more of that. Similarly, vague idea of a bass player. Who's like taking a drink before they get started. All right. Anyway, so as I was saying, so yeah, they still have no idea when anything is. And at this point, the specialist in Boston is like, okay, well, we could do another biopsy. And I was like, no, I've had two already. I don't want to do these anymore. And I don't think it's if already two of them have not told us anything, then I don't think a third is going to tell us anything. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot you already had one in Maine. Good point. I agree. I'm like, thank you for listening to me. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so it was just like, okay, this isn't getting us anywhere. So what's the next move, right? And he's like, well, so the next thing we can do, the only other thing there's only two more options basically. He's like, since we've kind of completely run out of options for testing, right? He's like, the next options are we either just do the wait and see thing where we ignore it, we just keep an eye on it. Like you just ignore it for a little while. We keep an eye on it and, come back in like a year and make sure that it's not gotten any worse. And maybe if we want to try more testing or whatever. And like, oh, yes, I also obviously had like routine blood work and stuff for all of this throughout all of this too. Couple times actually. And all of that was like normal. And he's like, "So, we could just kind of wait and see if anything happens." And I'm like, "I don't love that. For one thing, I've already been through so much trying to figure this out, and also this stresses me out. Like not knowing is stressing me out. I don't like not knowing what the issue is because I thought this was a minor issue, and also it was starting to bother me a lot more. Partially, I think probably because it was getting poked and prodded all the time. But whatever it was, at least maybe it was just my stress, but it felt like it was getting worse because it was hurting me more. I don't know. That could have just been me psyching myself out because all of this was so intense. But either way, ignoring it, like doing the wait and see thing, not something I was game for. Did not really want to do that. And he's like, okay, so then the only other option we have at this point is to remove it. And I'm like, okay, so that's what I would be up for if you're good with that, I would like to just get this thing out of my face, right? And he's like, "Well, here's the thing, removing it is kind of a high risk surgery." And I'm like, "Mhm, but why?" Uh, and he's like, "Yeah, so where this particular gland is where you have this mass that we don't know what it is right where your facial nerve like comes out of your jawbone, connects to that entire side of your face. It's like when you have, like, dentistry and they warn you about how, like, "Oh, well, in rare instances, like, there can be, like, facial nerve damage." It's like that facial nerve, like, where it comes out of your jawbone there and controls the entire side of your face, and he's like, "If that nerve is damaged, it can be anywhere from, like, some minor muscle weakness in your face to the entire side of your face being paralyzed." I'm like, "Cool, very fun. That's great. Love that." So, he's like, "I have a really good track record. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it's a risk, so I have to let you know that it could happen." And I'm like, "'Kay." So so that was also pretty stressful, but we set a surgery date. I was like, "Well, I don't I would rather deal with the known risk than continue to have this unknown risk, like, hanging over my head," right? And so we were like, "Okay, sure, we're gonna do surgery," and they tried to set my surgery date. My first surgery date that they set was election day. I run my local elections. I absolutely could not miss election day for the largest turnout presidential election that we've had in this town in probably, like, 100 years. Like, there wa I was like, "No, I absolutely cannot come in for surgery on election day. You're insane. Like, you guys are gonna have to find me a different time, I'm sorry." Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that was great. But they did eventually find me a new surgery date, and it was at the end of November. So at the end of November, so I think it was like early November that I kind of put everything on pause because I had a lot of work to do to like get caught up with home life and work and other like artwork that people were like expecting from me that had like a specific deadline before I left. And I was just like, nope, it's too much, too stressful. Trying to get my house ready for me to be like laid up and recovering from surgery for a couple weeks. I was just like, nope, I just need to kind of just halt everything for a little while. So that's what I did, and I would definitely say it was the right choice because I was able to just kind of relax and recover and feel a lot better afterwards. So I ultimately had surgery on November 20th, and it went totally fine. My only side effect was very, like, mild, uh, a little bit of muscle weakness just on the, like, facial nerve weakness on the corner of my mouth for, like, a tiny bit, but overall, not I can't get this guy's pose right, probably because 'cause I'm yakking, but that's okay. I gotta focus for just, like, 2 seconds, and then I'll continue my story. He's testing his stomp boxes. That's what he's doing here. Got a couple of stomp boxes. His other wedge is gonna be, like, kinda blocking his foot here. There we go. Other wedge. Oh, I did that, like, backwards. Whoops. I think I may have drawn it backwards the first time. I don't know, I'll have to look that up. Hey! Aw, thanks so much for stopping in. It's good to see you. I have fun stuff to show you soon too. My friends from Adept Icarus, they're the best. Anyway, alright. Alright, I got that sort of figured out. So, yeah, I only had, like, a very small amount of, like, facial nerve weakness afterwards for just, like, the corner of my mouth, so that all recovered really well. Apparently, what they got out of my face, what the thing was, the big mystery, it's called a pleomorphic adenoma, which is I'm never gonna forget that, but basically, it's a benign tumor. So it's a type of benign salivary gland tumor, and they are most commonly found in women aged 30 to 40. So I was like prime demographic there. I was just like, "Oh, okay. So me, cool." Um, and it's like, so the thing is, it grows in your uh parotid salivary gland. That's where it was hanging out. And that's why it interrupts that like facial nerve. And apparently that the one that I had was like 3 centimeters. So that's like not insubstantial. What's 3 centimeters look like? Okay, yeah. So it's like an inch. So it was like that big. It was like the size of like half my thumb. That's not an insubstantial thing to have in your neck. Yeah. So it was actually like it was starting to bother me so much and causing so much like pain and irritation because it had apparently grown large enough that it was actually like pushing the facial nerve, like the facial nerve was like lying on top of it. It was sounded kind of gross, but the whole procedure was very cool, but I won't get into all the gory details because I find it fascinating, but I totally understand if other folks are just like gross, no thank you. That's very fair. Because it was pretty rough. I have a very gnarly scar. The recovery time was supposed to be 2 weeks, and at first, like, before I went into surgery, I was like, "2 weeks? Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna have to take 2 weeks from just this, like, little surgery to get recovered, blah, blah, blah." Oh my god. After 1 week, I was like, "I don't know if 2 weeks is gonna be enough, man." It was pretty bad because they had to do, like it was a small thing that they had to remove, but to get at it, they had to actually, like, dissect a lot of the whole, like, side of my neck and face. You should, if you're interested, if you're not grossed out by this sort of thing, and or if you find, uh, real Hellraiser looking shit fascinating instead of just disturbing, then you should look up what a Blair's incision is, and that's Blair like the name, Blair apostrophe S, a Blair's incision. That's what they did to get at, uh to do the parotidectomy, which is what the procedure is called that they did for me. It's fascinating and like really cool on a modern medical marvels kind of way, but it was also pretty intense and it took a long time to like actually heal and have my face not constantly swelling and in lots of pain. And they, basically just, like, give you Tylenol and are like, "All right, see ya, go home." Like, obviously, immediately after the surgery, it was, like, the good stuff, but then they send you home and they're just like, "Here's, like, 2 painkillers to take at night the first couple of nights so you can sleep, and after that, just take Tylenol, you'll be fine." So it's a lot of me lying around just feeling like shit for a while. But I've got a very gnarly scar, but I'm all nice and healed. And this type of tumor, it's benign, but it can, if you ignore it. So this is a good thing I didn't go with the wait and see approach. If you ignore it, it can eventually turn into a malignant tumor. And especially if you're younger when you develop it, like I am, not and a much a s- like I am not elderly by any means, and so it's one thing if a pleomorphic adenoma is discovered in, like, a 70-year-old, they'd probably just be like, "Yeah, it's fine, we're not gonna worry about it," but in someone who is, like, in middle age or younger, then it's like, "Oh, no, we have to get that out of there because it could, in a few years, turn into a malignancy." So that was I am, nice and, get to be, like, satisfied that I made the right choice in deciding to have it removed because it could have in fact been a lot worse if we didn't. So all of that is good, but they got the whole thing, and apparently it's also, like, a super common tumor, so, like, as soon as they sent it off to pathology and everything, but they didn't even really necessarily need to because as soon as they, like, got eyes on it, they're like, "Oh, it's one of those." And I'm like, "Then how come when I went to my follow-up, like, a couple weeks later and talked to the doctor in Boston, and I'm like, "Well, then how come nobody could figure out what it was?" And he's like, "I don't know. Yours just looked weird in the imaging. It didn't look like how we expect them to look, and so we just didn't catch it." I'm like, "Cool. Glad I'm so unique. That's great." Yeah, no, I'm totally fine at this point. It's just been a matter of like, for a long time afterwards, it was a matter of like playing. It was like right afterwards was like I was exhausted and the holidays and everything, and then it was just a matter of like playing catch up for a while and trying to get back into a good routine and feeling like I was caught back up on enough of my other work that I could actually like be ready to start taking back on other stuff that I had kind of left for a while. So, yeah, so at this point, I started doing Age of Night updates. Age of Night updates are finally back because those had been paused for a while. So I'm very excited to have those back now. No, what are you doing? Now you're too short. And like, yeah, I also wanted to finish getting the ash can for this out. And I got volume 4 of Age of Night is out now too. I don't have one of the, oh no, wait, I do have one of the actual real ones here. Hold on, hold on. Look at that! Volume s I finally got this put together. And so, yeah, I also spent some of the downtime just catching up on stuff, like finally putting this book together that I've been trying to get put together for, like, a year, and that's out now. It exists. You can get it on the Amazon if you must, but you can also, get it from me at an event, or you can get it a PDF version on Skirmisher's website and the drive-through sites. And I'm gonna put these up, like signed copies, up on my Ko-fi store shortly. So, yay! Very exciting. Um, yeah, and so I got that caught up with. I had some other like freelance work I was trying to catch back up on, all of that kind of stuff. Hello, Bruce. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, that was my big epic saga of why I disappeared there. But yes, I'm feeling much better, and, prognosis is that they got the whole thing, it should not come back, I should not have any further issues, so, I mean, related to that, I'm sure I'll have other issues in my life. Sometimes life just is a series of issues, but that shouldn't cause me any more troubles. The stupid lump in my neck shouldn't cause me any more troubles. Oh, goodness. And yeah, I was dealing with a lot of that for like all of last year, all of that saga, but I also like didn't want to like talk about it too much or tell anybody too much of anything because I had no idea what was going on because until after the surgery, I still didn't know what the heck it was. And I was dealing with the whole like, am I being crazy? Is all of this like for nothing? Are they going to discover that this was in fact just something really stupid this whole time? Yeah, it was just like, I didn't want to, like, make people freak out and be like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" Brr, brr, brr," when I didn't even know what was going on. It's like, "Was I fine? I don't know. I don't know what's happening," and having people fretting over me and joining in the anxiety was not going to make me feel more calm trying to deal with it. Like, I didn't want to worry other people, but I also didn't want to be feeling like I had to manage other people's concern, if that makes sense. So, okay, my long epic story is done. And I also have all of the roughed in we have vague ghosts of where everything is gonna go, so now we can actually start making these vague skeletons look like people. Um, let's see. I had to bring up my reference of these guys. No, just cooperate with me, computer. I'm trying to look at my reference. Okay, there we go. Trying to find the right thing on my computer. So yeah, this project that I'm working on now is called Prophets of Doom. It's written by Joe Schmalke, who in Night Factory Press. If you want to learn more about Prophets of Doom or any of Joe's other work, you may think you don't know who Joe Schmalke is, but you do. You've seen his work. He writes and does all sorts of really cool comics. Some of them he writes and illustrates himself. Others he just writes and has other folks illustrate, which is what's going on here, where this is one that he approached me about a while back of like, "Hey, do you wanna work on something together?" And I was like, "What? Uh, sure. You want to work with me? Sure." I kind of didn't necessarily believe it at first. But yeah, he was like, "So it's about this." He's like, "So there's this group of like evangelicals, right? But they're like the real doomsday fire and brimstone type." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "And they're trying to bring about the end of the world." Okay. He's like, "And the way they're gonna do that is by summoning a bunch of monsters." I'm like, "All right." It's like, so it's mostly following the monsters as they're like trying to start the apocalypse. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how I could have said no to a pitch like that because it sounded so fun, and it has been so fun. Oh my gosh. The ash can was super fun. This first issue, I laughed out loud so many times working on it. So it's ostensibly like horror in that it's very like blood and guts and violence type stuff. This is definitely super duper not for kids. I have not let my kids read the ash can. I will not let my kids read the ash can anytime soon. They're going to have to wait a bit because it is not for children. This is going to be like the biggest challenge. I already have to deal with people all the time assuming that like Age of Night is for kids just because I don't know, they see me and it doesn't look like super adult right away, and they just assume that, like, a middle-aged woman must mean that I'm doing stuff for kids, but I'm super not. And, yeah, this one, gonna have to be like, "No, this is very much mature audiences only. This is not in any way for children. Please don't let your children read this." Unless you're like, actually legitimately totally cool with your kids, like, watching, like, grindhouse horror stuff. And I'm having a blast doing all of this, like, really over the top, ridiculous, violent action stuff. It's such a departure from what I normally work on, and it's been so much fun. Like, this is a horror in that sense, but so much of it is also super, super fucking funny. It is so hilarious. And so these guys here. So what we have here, this scene is that we have several of these are the evangelical guys, the different preachers. Hello. Great great film dead. Oh, I get it. Great film dead. Nice. I like it. Thanks for joining us. It took me a second, but I like it. So this is a little meeting between our primary evangelical guys. This is three different preachers that you meet earlier in the preceding pages, and they're hatching their scheme here at this little bar meeting that they're doing. And at the same time, the reason we have these two layers of action going on, we're also meeting one of the main characters, who is this guy back here. So they're all having a beer, hatching their plan. It's an Alan bar. Hello, Ellen. Is it common to overanalyze a single panel instead of focusing on the whole? I'm not sure if I understand the question. Oi, what's up, Alan? I'm not sure if I understand your question there. Great film dead. Let's see. Oh yeah, he's definitely got a sourpuss face. He's got a sourpuss face a lot, this character. His name's Cotton. Oh, as an illustrator. Okay. Overanalyzing this. Well, yeah, as Bruce says, every panel is a part of the whole. So you can certainly have panels where more is like happening, where there's something particularly important happening. Ideally, all the panels should be doing something. All the panels should be pulling their weight. Yeah, for sure. All right. What time is it? 8:45. I'm gonna try to get Mr. Cotton's face more. Where's my other reference? Other reference. Do. Bring it over to the screen I can actually see from my drafting table instead of the one that's practically behind me. All right, we're going to try to get Cotton a little bit more done here before we call it for the evening. I usually only stream for about an hour at a time because, I mean, I know it's not a ton of time, but also I need to get up and stretch, and you guys should like get up and stretch and get a drink of water. And I also don't stay up super late as a rule. Grumpy old guy. Rawr. Let's see if I can. I'm not going to try to move my camera. I'm just going to knock it down. Grumpy old guy. All right. So, what is going on this coming week? So, as I mentioned, Age of Night updates are back. What? So, tomorrow there will be a new Age of Night page up on the website. My patrons are getting theirs a week early, so they'll have a new page as well that everybody else will get to see the following week. It's yet another thing I've been slowly building my way back up to getting back into. But those are now also happening. So check that out tomorrow. But the big news is this weekend is Free Comic Book Day. Who's going to Free Comic Book Day? Do you have a local Free Comic Book Day that you like to go to? What is your local comic shop? Do they do a cool Free Comic Book Day thing? I am going to be at Galactic Comics in Bangor, Maine. Free comics! Yes. So a lot of comic shops like not only give away all of the cool free comics, which is very fun and very much worth checking out, but a lot of them make it like a whole event where they'll also have like guest comic artists selling their wares and maybe giving away some promotional stuff too. And like I know like Double Midnight down in Manchester does like a whole they do like a whole cosplay like extravaganza and everything. So the thing is that I have not even gotten to look into what anyone else is giving out this year. I haven't even looked up what's available because I am going to be giving out my own stuff. So Free Comic Book Day at Galactic in Bangor, we're giving out the Prophets of Doom ash can, which I'm just it's like very I don't wanna give too much away. It's very cool. It was very fun. Uh, yes, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm excited to give those away. I've got a whole stack of them to give away to folks on Saturday. Um, and yeah, I just gotta remind them, please don't let any, 6-year-olds pick it up. No small people. Uh, you'd have to drive a bit to get to one. You don't know if they'd be participating in that. Odds are they will be because comic book day is a big industry thing, so they probably will have something. Whether or not they have like a big to do in addition to just having the free comic books to give out is entirely another matter because some places just give out the free comics and that's the thing that they do. And other places make it a big event, which it's going to be a pretty cool event at Galactic. I'm looking forward to being there. I will, of course, have comics for sale in addition to the comic I am giving away, but I'm very excited about the comic I'm giving away, which is why I haven't even gotten to look up any of the other ones that are being released. I will have to do that. Joe Schmalke is going to be at Merrimack Comics, I believe. He's gonna, like, yell at me if I said that wrong. He's gonna be like, "No, Amanda, that's not where I was going. Come on now." Um, no, he wouldn't yell at me. He's a good guy. He might be very frustrated and exasperated with me, but he wouldn't actually yell. He'd just do the dad thing and just do a disappointed sigh. That's what he would do. But yeah, so Joe is also gonna be giving away copies of the Ashcan at Merrimack Comics. So we're gonna divide and conquer. It's gonna be fun. This guy in his freaking suit everywhere. And a dive bar, still wearing a suit. This is just what we do. I don't know if I love that gesture. I kind of feel like I'm gonna have to come back to it because his arm looks kind of weird there. I'll have to come back to that and see how I feel about it. I'm gonna move on. I'm getting irritated with him. I'll move on to this guy. We'll circle back to him probably like next week because while I am working on a bunch of pages for this particular issue, this page is the one I'm working on stream. So we're gonna work on it over the course of a few streams. So we'll work on it again next week, and maybe once I get away from it for a bit, I'll have a better idea about what I want to do with that particular gesture. But yeah, that is what I have coming up this weekend, and then I don't have another event until the end of the month. And May, what is that? 30th? 31st? Yeah, May 31st is also going to be with the guys at Galactic. That's Galacticon, which is a free day Comic Con in Brewer, Maine, hosted also by the Galactic Comics guys. But that was a very fun little one-day show last year. It's going to be even bigger and better this year, so looking forward to that one. I love a little one-day local show. It's a lot of fun. This guy with his sideburns and his little like Elvis swooped back hair there. So yeah, I will be continuing working on this next week here on stream. You should definitely come back and hang out with me same time, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm trying to make this a regular habit once again, so we'll see how that goes. Look, little bug. The little bugs have come back out. They've returned from the frozen depths of hell. So yeah, if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that so that you get notifications when I go live in case you forget, or if I have to like post a little community update that's like letting people know that for whatever reason I can't make it for a stream. That's a good way to keep up to date with that. I do also have uh aw, thanks. I'm glad to be doing this again. Thanks, someone saying. Uh yeah, nice. Portland, which Portland? East Coast Portland or West Coast Portland, Bruce? Because obviously I'm in Maine, so I think of Portland, Maine, but I understand that a lot more people oh, yeah, West Coast. Yeah, I understand that a lot more people live on the West Coast. I understand that usually when people just say Portland, they're probably talking about the West Coast one. But anyway, yeah, so very cool, very cool. Yeah, we've got Galactic is like the really good comic shop in Bangor. There is another comic shop in Bangor, but we don't need to talk about that one. Right, yep. Hey, this comic shop is right around the corner from Stephen King's famous Victorian mansion house. He doesn't live there anymore. It's like the home of the Stephen and Tabitha King Foundation now, but it's where he used to live. But yeah, that's the comic shop I'm gonna be at this weekend. It's like right near there. I could walk to it if I wanted to. All right, I'm just gonna finish this guy's pants. And yeah, if you want to, you can find me on various socials. Mostly, I'm only active on Blue Sky and on Instagram these days as Amanda Call Art on Instagram and Age of Night on Blue Sky. So be sure to follow me there. And that way you can also get updates when I'm doing stuff, when Blue Sky is functioning and not throwing weird errors at me all the time, which it likes to do. All right, that's where we're going to leave off for this evening. I have everything roughed out and a good start on some of the actual like refining the characters up here in the first panel. So hopefully we will have some more progress next week and get through some more of this page. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me this evening. It is so good to be back and see you again, and I will see you all next time. Bye.